Good morning. It's Ross Litz, Kip Brown, and we got some special guests here, but we want to thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Scrap Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about what goes on behind the scenes in regards to our mechanic shop. As you've seen in many episodes, we have a lot of heavy equipment here on the yard. So it's a constant issue to keep our machines running, serviced, because every time the machines are down, it's costing us money. So thanks for joining us today. I hope this video finds it beneficial to you. And just to give you a little bit about who is back here all the time working on equipment, fixing our stuff to get it back out there on the yard, okay? So I want to introduce Tom Livesey. Tom, it works with Luke Dillon. Luke is our head mechanic here. So I call these guys our ER doctors. They are constantly trying to fix things and get them back on the yard, and they're in a crunch for time. And it's almost like you call the doctor and say, give me the status, right? So Luke, tell us a little bit about what goes on back here all the time.
Well, I mean, like you said, we do services, and in between the services and everything else is like an emergency room. The scrapyard is probably one of the hardest places on equipment that I've ever worked. Just so many different variables. Being out in the scrap pile, you don't really know what's all's out there, and it does a lot of damage to our equipment. So it's minute by minute, things change, break constantly. So we could be doing this, and 5 minutes later we're loading up in the truck and going out to the scrap pile. So
yeah, it's hard when you, like you say, you're in this scrap environment. Things are either falling on equipment or run over equipment or something, and this equipment ranges from $300,000 to $800,000 a piece. So it's extremely expensive equipment, and we got to make sure we take care of it.
Got to be versatile in what you know too. I mean, There's a lot of different equipment to work. I mean, it's not all the same thing. It's going on.
Constantly learning too. I mean, every day I come in and learn something new, and we just figure it out as we go.
Yeah. Tom, tell us what's going on here. This is one of our extended forklifts. What you got going on here?
Well, the slave needs rebuilt. It's
bypassing
fluid
into the axle.
brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of job is this? Is this a multiple day job kind of thing? Pretty big deal.
Yeah. I've seen wet brakes done. I'm just learning from Luke. Watched the video. Luke said before he started on it, that it's bypassing fluid.
Yeah.
And
what is this right here?
That's the axle.
Axle housing. Yeah.
Axle housing.
So the wet brakes are inside here, down in here, and it's got seals like a normal car brake piston has seals on it.
Yeah.
And it moves in and out. Well, over time, heat, metal or something could have got in there. It cut the seal. And these are wet brakes, like Tom was saying, so it works a lot like a clutch pack. And the seals were cut on the brakes, and the hydraulic oil that forces the slave cylinder to apply the brakes was bypassing oil and filling the axle housing full of oil, and it was blowing it out the breather. And I mean, that was pretty much the only way that oil could fill the axle like that. So we decided to tear it down. This is the first time we've tore one of these down. So
yeah,
like I said, we learn something new every day, and
it's always a learning experience, isn't it?
Always.
Now, Tom, tell us about the technology in this equipment that we have. That it's ever changing, just like everything else, right? I mean, you got computers that hook up to the equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Luke.
That's Luke.
Yeah,
Luke, tell us about that, how that works, because it's not like the olden days where you could just take it apart and figure it out. And
yeah, I mean, most pieces of equipment nowadays have
Diagnostics.
yeah, and there's anywhere from 5 to 10 computers on a piece of equipment, similar to a car. And without having a computer to hook into it, a lot of times you don't have any idea what's going on.
Right.
You don't have a direction to go into. Now, sometimes that's not the case. I mean, there's a lot of mechanical failure too that you don't need a computer for. But nowadays, with the technology that we have, is so advanced that without a computer, I mean, it'd be near impossible to do this job.
And a lot. Go ahead, Kip.
A lot of our newer cranes, I guess you plug in, like you say, the computer, and it gives you a code.
Yeah, I mean, most of them will give you a code, and I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not going to necessarily tell you the exact problem, but it'll say it's having a problem in this area. You know, so you have a direction to go into and look into that area. You know, try different things to see what the problem is. It's a lot of, you know, like I said, learning. So you could, one day it could say this code and it could be a sensor bad, and then another day it could be a mechanical failure that's causing that same sensor to be throwing a code.
On top of just preventive maintenance.
Yeah. Luke's got a schedule. I don't know how many pieces of equipment we got here, Tom? 12 or 15 pieces or something like that, counting all the forklifts.
I mean, I think it's about, we probably maintain about 40 pieces of equipment.
40 pieces of equipment we maintain here. So a lot of work on a daily basis. So we did hire all this stuff out years ago before these guys came on board. So we'd have to have dealers or outside technicians coming in all the time. And we finally realized, you know what,
every day.
we need to hire the best of the best. And that's what we got here. We built this new facility here on the back of our property. And it's just really been a blessing for us to be able to get in here, get in the dry. You know, it's climate controlled. Kip, tell them about that. Kip's really proud of this oil heater.
Very cool,
yeah.
I think. You know, we get a lot of recycled oil here. When we buy cars, we don't make the customers drain oil.
Or we change oil in our equipment.
Yeah, or we change oil in our equipment. And we recycle that used oil to heat this facility.
Right.
Which is, I mean, what we're here talking about in the first place, recycling.
Sure.
And we're using every little advantage we've got to do that.
Right. So this is a very, very important part of our company that really and truly, before we had it, we didn't know the true value we were missing. And these guys are invaluable. So they know when their phone rings, it's something probably pretty important. So I can't thank you enough for the job that you guys do for us. It's one of those things that it gives us peace of mind knowing that our employees are working on our equipment and we're in control of our own destiny, so to speak. So I really thank you guys for joining us today. Hope it's been a beneficial episode to you. And thank you for liking us and subscribing to us. It seems like the followers are increasing every week. So you guys are liking the content that we're putting out there. We're on all the platforms. So if you haven't yet, click like and subscribe to us. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.